Welcome to 100 Yards of Football. If you like the video this morning, please come in and share. We'll surely appreciate it here at 100 Yards Football. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. I'd like to say thank you to my staff here at 100 Yards Football, to my producer who's making it happen this morning, Mr. Jeremiah Long, to my man, first-round draft choice, 1981 Atlanta Falcons, first-round pick, started the tradition at Florida State, Mr. Bobby Butler, to Mr. Logan Landers, thank you. To Mr. Ronnie Keebler, Brooklyn, New York, is in the house. Thank you. And to Mr. Mark Denham, Lufkin, Texas. Thank you. Today's video is on an outstanding football player, Barry Sanders. I call him the quiet assassin. And the thing about Barry Sanders, that number one, what I love about him, he was born on July 16th. Well, I was born on July 17th. So we are born in the month of July, and I kind of understand where he's coming from. When he left the game and shocked the world on July 28th, 1999. The football game wasn't as big as to him. If something's not right, it didn't feel right. As he said, desire to lead the game was greater than the desire to play the game. I understand where he was coming from. And he only needed 1,457 yards to break Walter Payton's record as being an all-time leading rusher. Now, I'm an enormous big-time Dallas Cowboys fan, and I love Emmitt Smith, who has the all-time rushing record. But I'll be out of line, and I hope the Dallas Cowboys nation don't get upset with me. This young man, when it's all said and done, and you look at all the great running backs that I've seen in my time, that I've watched on TV. I've seen some up close and personal, from Jim Brown, to Gary Sayers, to Franco Cap, to Tony Dorsett, to Bo Jackson, to and whenever our life ends, that little angel's gonna say, you know what? This young man on the screen from Wichita, Kansas, is the greatest running back that ever played this game. A lot of people say Barry Sanders didn't win a Super Bowl, but in his 10 seasons, the Lions went to the playoffs 4 times. And think about the history of the Detroit Lions, all the great players they had in their organization, in the city, Motown, from Lynn Barney to Billy Sims to Alex Karras. That's saying a lot, brother. And when you think about Detroit and Charlie Sanders, let me throw him in there. Detroit is a blue-collar, hard city. Nothing comes easy. Young man in his NFL career and pro every season. This young man, the Lions went to the playoffs 4 out of his 10 seasons there. And make no mistake, he was all the Detroit Lions had. But you never heard no flamboyance. He just went about his job. And then they hired Bobby Ross. And I really, in my heart, think another reason that Barry Sanders stepped away from the game, he couldn't get along with Bobby Ross. I'm sorry, not Barry, Bobby. And he didn't like him. But I'm going to start before the NFL career. I'm going to start in the 1988 college football season. That year, you had the big game, Miami and Notre Dame playing, that decided the national championship. They told that Notre Dame, Rocky Ismail, Ricky Waters, that Miami team that still had Steve Walsh, Cleveland Gary, outstanding Miami team coached by Jimmy Johnson. But the guy that stole the funk that month, October, and to be honest, I wasn't an Oklahoma State fan. I knew they had a great running back that had just left, but the name of Thurman Thomas. But all I know about Barry Sanders, that he was just a hell of a kick return guy. Then I started following the season. I started following him at Oklahoma State and the numbers he was putting up. And I said, hold up now. let me think, is this guy that serious? And then I think about when they played Oklahoma. And at that time, Oklahoma had Charles Thompson at quarterback with Jamel Holloway and Barry Sanders. And we know what Oklahoma was in the 80s. And I'm going to see what he does against the Oklahoma team that got NFL talent. Well, he had 215 yards, 2 touchdowns that game. And then I kept thinking, here's a guy to Wichita, Kansas. And back when I was at school at the University of Arkansas, from 78 to 1982, all I thought about was Oklahoma State was a basketball school. I never football players. I thought, how many Jim, the outstanding mile runner in the Olympics. They were known for Lynette Woodruff, outstanding basketball player, but they're known for basketball. Antoine Carr, Donnell Valentine, Dave Stallworth, Adrian Griffin. Hello, AJ Griffin's daddy. AJ Griffin played for the Atlanta Hawks, one broadcasting locally today. So I'm saying, wow, they got a guy that's coming out of this city, this area, this good. And after that Oklahoma game, I said, this young man here is going to be special. And another thing, on his ascending in the 88 season that he won the Heisman Trophy, he was putting up numbers, I believe put 200 on Nebraska that year too, was that when I did his background check, I believe Barry Sanders only had 3 other scholarships. There was Tulsa. I know that for a fact because his dad wanted him to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma State, and I can't think of the other school. But the head coach at the time was Pat Jones, who was a big-time assistant when I was at Arkansas. And Pat Jones, I hear him tell the recruiting story. He said he went down to Wichita, Kansas. Somebody kind of let him know about Barry Sanders. And he said, hey, Barry Sanders came out, was about 5'8", 190 at the time. And he said he did one drill with him. It was the vertical jump. And said Barry Sanders jumped 41 inches. Pat Jones said, hey, I don't care what we have to do. I don't care. Let's create. If we have to create a scholarship. And you know what? I followed Barry Sanders from that standpoint. Until this day, he still has the greatest college football season of any running back. 2,600 yards rushing in 12 games. 37 touchdowns. He wasn't flamboyant, but he brought that smoke to Stillwater, Oklahoma. And then he got in the NFL. And a funny question, he played with the Detroit Lions. In the Detroit Lions, this is a real story. They was thinking about taking a young man that's at Colorado right now, the head man. His name is Prime Time Deion Sanders. And they was really thinking about taking him in the 89 draft over Barry Sanders. But Wayne Funch, the head coach, fought tooth and nail, said, no, this young man, when it's all said and done, it's going to be the greatest running back that ever played this game. Wayne Funch. And Barry Sanders ended up putting a career in that Honolulu Blue that was unbelievable. And remember this, no disrespect to Emmitt Smith. I still consider him a top 3 running back. But Barry Sanders, and I might defend some people today, and I hate how I'm going to do this, and I know Barry Sanders' father said that Jim Brown played and there's no Super Bowls, he don't have no rings. But it's very hard. In 10 years, 15 9 touchdowns, 10-time Pro Bowl. But what sticks out to me, four consecutive Lions. (1993) 10-6, 1994 9-7. 2 years, 1996 5-11, 1997 9-7. (29) 2,921 yards and 10 receiving touchdowns. But if you look at him, he doesn't say much. He doesn't come out and say, hey, I'm the greatest running back. He just going about his business quietly. That's why I call him the quiet assassin. And it's honor to dogs now. Hot Taylor, from Tom, Jason Gildon, but I should not be surprised that he had the sense he came out of Oklahoma State because they had one football player. If it wouldn't have been for the drugs, that young man could have been one of the greatest defensive ends that played that game. Dexter Manley. See, that's what Barry Sanders, he came out of that foundation. The sister school at Oklahoma. But when it's all said and done, he might be on that Mount Rushmore at Oklahoma State. And he retired only 1,457 yards from breaking Walter Payton's record. He could have done it the next season in 11 years. But you know what? I'm really proud of him because he said the desire to lead the game was greater. So it didn't matter about the records. It didn't matter about what people thought about him. It didn't matter him being on top of the mountain. He was already confident in himself. He was already at a point in his life that didn't matter. He let his resume speak for itself and his abilities. See, that's where we are at 100 yards of football. My staff, we ain't got to be on these great networks. We just let the work speak for itself. The graphics, the producing, the content. And we just stay over in our lane, bother nobody. We don't have to be seen. We don't have to be loud. That's what Barry Sanders is showing me. And see, God is in this plan because he's a Cancer. He was born July 16th. I was born July 17th. I understand where he's coming from. My opinion, I'm going to say it today. With all the great running backs, from Eric Dickerson to Ricky Williams to Marcus Dupree to O.J. Simpson to Jim Brown to Leroy Kelly to Franco Harris to Tony Dorsett, the explosive Bo Jackson, Earl Campbell. Y'all can do all this talking. Y'all can boast and brag. But this young man right here, for my money, the greatest football player at the running back position in the National Football League. And if it wouldn't be for pound, I have him right there with Jerry Rice. It's the greatest player that played this game. He retired. One more time at 15,269 yards. Let that sit in your mind after 10 seasons. He was a 10-time Pro Bowl. He was voted to the Pro Bowl every year he was in the league. I know. But 57 breaking wild. But the desire was greater to lead the game. than to play it. And if you look at his last 5 years, the greatest statistic of a running back, he averaged 100 yards a game. And we never really talk about him because he's Barry Sanders, the quiet assassin. The skill set, initial quickness, A+. Explosive start, A+. The vision, A+. The ability to hop in the hole and cut. Oh, it sent chill bumps. How he was able to jump, stop, boom. Jump, stop, boom. And the balance. It can outrun anybody around the corner. The football intelligence FBI. And he made defenders miss. Yards after contact, all 4.0. I know I'm saying Jerry Rice, pound for pound, might have been the greatest football player to play this game. And I know everybody want to put Tom Brady up there as a GOAT. Some champions, Super Bowl rings. But pound for this young man right here might have been the best that ever suited him up in that Honolulu blue. And he looked damn good in it. Out of Wichita, Kansas, a basketball state. The Wichita State Shockers. The 3-1. A football player. And I knew about him in the 1988 season when he was at Oklahoma State. I'm going to be God honest with you. Today on 100 Yards Football, I know he was good in college, but I didn't see it coming like this in the National Football League. I didn't. Motor City, Motown. If you like the video today, please come in and share. It's been an honor one more time to be in your living rooms to talk about this great, great football player. To my staff here at 100 Yards Football, I would not be where I'm at today without the great love of Jeremiah Long, our producer at a high level. I put him up against anybody. Mr. Martin out of Lufkin, Texas. The great Bobby Butler, first round pick of the Atlanta Falcons, 19. Him and Florida State from 77 to 80, they started what's happening in Tallahassee. And of course, to the babyface assassin, Mr. Logan Landers, thank you. And to my man, BK in the house, Brooklyn, New York, Mr. Ronnie Keebler. Only thing I can leave you when I think about Barry Sanders, it's like this young man from London, England, kissing like a bandit, stealing time under sycamore tree. Say Barry Sanders is wishing y'all well. Trent Darby, kissing like a bandit, stealing time on the sycamore tree. Barry Sanders, the quiet assassin. Y'all be blessed here on 100 Yards of Football.